Good morning, everyone.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Alex Imberti. I am a senior sales engineer at Bright Idea.
And my name is Chris Klobus, senior product designer here at Bright Idea.
So in the spirit of a hackathon, we wanted to pass over some Red Bulls. We've got sugar-free and free. So hopefully we know we all had a lot of fun last night. And hopefully this sugar and caffeine-loaded drink will give us the
sugar-free,
the necessary boost to power through the day.
There we go.
No, we are not energy drink promoters. And yes, you are the smart ones today, because I heard next door they're throwing sponges at their audience, not giving away Red Bulls. So before we start our presentation, we wanted to ask you a couple questions. First one is, in this room, who has participated in a hackathon? Please raise your hands. Okay, fair number. And out of those people, who have managed a hackathon? Okay,
all right.
So you're in the right session.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. So we hear you want to run a hackathon. So we're here today to help you realize this within your innovation program. And so just going to get started a little bit. So we heard the buzz. We saw potential prospects asking for hackathons. We saw your beta requests. And we even noticed current clients just running these. So we got to work. And so we viewed the competitive landscape. We noticed that there was hackathons as a service, but they're only like a one-trick pony. There wasn't a true competitor of ours that was actually offering a full solution. So we got to work on building a hackathon app. And so we interviewed a bunch of clients. I'm not sure if some of you are in here. You might have. We definitely got a lot of calls, did our research, created endless amounts of business process diagrams flowing out, from start to finish. What does it actually take, and how can we, put some of these inside the software to help it be a companion for you as you run this event. And then we wireframed out the dominant user flows, and this is our hackathon war room in the San Francisco office. We took over one of our our big ping pong room, and you can see all these are just all the various user stories, and this is the full solution of what a hackathon app should be. So I give to you the Hack app. You saw it introduced yesterday, and you saw one of the features that the Find Teammates features. But there's plenty of other awesome stuff built into it. So in case you haven't already looked, you'll notice that it's under the expand phase. And what that means is sometimes you need to walk before you run, but we're not saying that you can't run a hackathon right out of the gate. It's just Bright Idea recommends that in the start phase, you get engagement with your employee base. But then, once you get the innovation chops and build up, your reputation, you want to expand it to generate outcomes. And so with hackathons, those outcomes come in the form of prototypes, a tangible prototype. And so if that's something that you want, that one of your sponsors wants to see, then it's probably a good tool for them to use.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
So in today's presentation, we wanted to walk you through an overview of what a hackathon is, then give you some prerequisites you should consider before running a hackathon. Following that, we'll spend some time on the pre-event phase before running a hackathon. That includes configuring the sites, having people submit projects, and a team forming around projects. Chris will walk us through the events day, where the hacking, the judging, and the selection of winners happens. And then we'll finish off strong with the next steps following a hackathon, making sure that you follow through the projects that were selected for further development and track the outcomes on implemented projects. So what is a hackathon? A hackathon is a results-focused, time-limited event where teams rapidly brainstorm, prototype, and build new innovations. The benefits of running hackathons are multiple. The first one being the rapid time to value. So being a results-focused, time-limited, you're able to get tangible, build-out prototypes out of the hacking of a hackathon. Now, another one is how fun and engaging that event is. You really give autonomy and freedom for your participants to master new technology on a certain topic, and for them to feed out fresh ideas to the business. They can also form diverse teams to foster creativity, and it really gives a marketability of the event to the innovation team because of that factor, and it sets an innovation reputation for your business. So let's define what a corporate hackathon is. It is an internal on-site event. Typically you have 30 to 120 participants in those. Said in another term, 4 to 16 projects would get worked on. It can last anywhere between 8 to 48 hours. An important thing is all projects must support a business strategy. So when I talk about what types of companies are running hackathons, it's basically all of them. In the 2000s, software companies made hackathons famous. We all use some of Facebook's full-blown features that originated in hackathons, such as the timeline or the like button. But nowadays, all companies run hackathons. And here are some of the examples of non-software companies that do so, whether it's to improve a business process, automate some manual processes. You can do so by building prototypes via a hackathon.
Excellent. Makes sense. All right. So let's talk through, before you even decide you want to run a hackathon, let's make sure you're going the right route. I'm not sure if you've seen this before. This is most of our innovation leaders. We call them the IPM, or the Innovation Program Manager. They run as a shared service, just like IT helps service your laptop or onboards new employees with a laptop and whatnot. The innovation program is a shared service within the company. So, it's your goal to find a sponsor, and this sponsor is usually senior leadership. Has a budget not just to to purchase for the event or to buy swag and food, but also to be able to get paid employees out on time. So it costs, you being here, it costs money, right? So taking people away from the normal work week and having them hack on something different. And then additionally, that sponsor will need to be able to delegate some supporting roles, and we'll get to those in a sec. So once you've vetted the sponsor, what are they trying to achieve? What does success mean? And if it's in the form of a tangible prototype, then this hackathon's probably a good tool for them to use. So you'll want to then discuss some potential topics, and then so some of these topics you don't want to make it too broad, but you don't want to make it too tight either. So what are some good potential topics? Maybe take a few projects off your future roadmap, process improvements, or even if you had dabbled into some of the start apps, such as Discuss, Solve, and Optimize, you can pull from them, and if it was the same sponsor, you can use those and leverage them and just pre-seed them into your hackathon and just form teams around those. So there's a whole bunch of ways that we can where we can achieve success. Moving forward, your supporting cast, you'll have the hackathon manager, your judges who are the experts, and then obviously your participant base, the people who are hacking on these projects. So let's talk about the hackathon manager. This person's going to need to be highly organized, experienced in event management, quarterbacking the supporting roles, and most likely you may be a hackathon manager, or you're going to be holding their hand throughout the process a few times before they get rolling. All right, let's talk about the judges. So these are the experts. Usually department heads, higher up, higher prestige, respected. They really need to be vocal, honest, and transparent about the projects and during the presentation. They're going to be giving valuable feedback to the project teams. And then additionally, yeah, they need to be there the day of the event. So some other checklist items before we even get into the app. We're going to want to batten down the judging criteria. Find an event, at least know an event space, and then the timeline. So judging criteria is key. Usually it revolves around business impact, feasibility, and innovativeness. And so, does it provide real value? Is it realistic and achievable? And does it leverage new technology? As far as the event space, obviously it needs to be fun and entertaining. I would say this would be a perfect venue for a hackathon. But it doesn't have to be crazy all out. But the more the merrier. It should be lots of fun. Tables and breakout areas, places to get creative. A stage and a presentation area, AV equipped, and obviously Wi-Fi. Can't live without that these days, huh? And then the timeline, you'll see that the pre-event lasts between 2 to 4 weeks. So that's the project submission and the project vetting. And then the event lasts, as you saw with Alex, 1 to 2 days. So just a couple more resources. These are optional, but we definitely recommend them. Helps everything run smoother, but obviously you need to be quarterbacking these roles. An event MC, get you riled up, gets everyone excited, calls people to the stage. Scribe and note taker, this is pretty key, I think. It's someone that during presentation and judging that captures the real-time feedback, and this is useful for post-event and getting that feedback back to the project teams. An event designer, obviously swag and just the little polish, just having nice lights and everything. It makes the ambiance better. One of our clients actually had a mountaineering theme, so they had tents set up everywhere, and in a lot of the prizes were like Boy Scout medals, and and they had like breakout areas that one was like rock climbing, one was like whitewater rafting and whatnot. So if you can get creative there, it's all the better. Additionally, you want to capture all the moments. So photography, we even have one here. Hey. And then a caterer always helps, but pizza and Red Bull is fine as well. And then maybe a marketing rep to come in live tweet from the corporate Twitter account or something. Just it gets that it gets the word out, gets the word of your innovation program out, shows your reputation, and then a facilities team. I think it's always great to have someone running in the background. So like we're getting this filmed at the moment, right? Just someone to take care of some of that tech stuff and the AV equipment, so you don't have to figure that out the day of. All right.
Thank you, Chris. So now that we checked all the prerequisites, let's move forward with the pre-event phase. So as a hackathon manager, I will use the Hack app. This is where it comes in handy as a companion to running efficiently a hackathon. So I click on the Hack app, I follow the wizard, I receive an email with a link to the launch playbook. So Genevieve discussed about that yesterday, showcased it. This launch playbook will include a list of configurations, optional or required, to customize your hackathon site. And the whole purpose here, some examples could be inputting your schedule of the hackathon or inputting the judges' information. So all of this is inside the launch playbook. And the purpose here is to make that creation experience very easy and seamless for the hackathon manager. Alongside the site configuration, the hackathon manager starts working on a communication and promotional strategy. And this is where you start building the excitement for your participants. Obviously, if you don't get your top people during the hackathon, it won't be as successful. So you want to explain earlier on what the value of the hackathon is for the business, how you give them the autonomy, they can master new technology, infuse fresh ideas, I said earlier. Visibility and recognitions are also two big factors. You can do that communication inside Bright Idea if you want, using our newsletter or blogs, or by any other means, posters that you display, or intranets. And some examples of communications are the save the date one, an invitations email, and obviously reminders to make sure they don't miss any deadlines. When participants first receive that invitation email, they get invited to log into the hackathon site, where they can easily register to the events by submitting a project. And while projects get submitted, teams get formed around those projects. And this typically is a sticky point when managing a hackathon. It's not always easy to figure out how to have teams form around projects. With a Hack app, it no longer is. We released a new Find Teammates feature as of yesterday, where basically we leverage the user expertise to help teams connect with participants that have matching skills than the ones required to build the projects. Another way to do it would be for a participant to send a request to the team lead to join the team. And in both configurations, you basically have a conversation to follow up and figure out if it's a good fit for the overall team. And the last step in the pre-events phase is back to the Hackathon Manager role. With the pre-configured workflow, you will be able to monitor and moderate all submitted projects, and eventually select the projects that best fit your topic. So not all submitted projects will officially get hacked on during the day. So with this workflow, you'll be able to have that conversation and decide with the judges, with the sponsor, which of those projects you actually want to officially have them hacked on during the event day.
All right.
Back to you.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah,
welcome.
one thing to note there, if you think backwards, you only have, I think after 2 hours of presentation and judging, that can be a little much. So that's why we recommend 4 to 16 projects. If you think about it, 5 minutes a project for presentation, a little Q&A in there with a little buffer time for the next project. We've seen presentations and judging go over 3-4 hours, and people were just rolling their eyes and falling asleep after that. So it's not efficient. So that's why that's the key for vetting. You want to make sure you're getting the right projects, and also respectful of everyone's time. That you're not going over that 2-hour mark. Okay, so it's event day. This is the day, right? The final communications were sent. The awards are ready. Event space is prepped. The Wi-Fi's kicking. The caffeinated drinks are out there, maybe spiked. You never know. And then the food and drinks are ready, and the judge's arrival time is on time and is confirmed. Oh, this. They said this was a little. There we go. Sorry about that. So the event kicks off. The teams check in. The sponsor kind of gives their keynote and kicks off the event, and the teams start hacking. And so, this is the time where you can breathe. You have all day. It's it's not going to be everyone's not going to be running around with their heads chopped off. They're going to be deep in their projects. So it's the snackathon time. So really, yeah, you just want to make sure the snacks are passed out. The caffeinated beverages are there to help your teams work efficiently. And of course, if you have a cat in space with bacon, that makes everything better too. All right, so we want to prepare the judges, right? So the judges have arrived, wrangle them together, reiterate that judging criteria, make sure that everyone's on the same page. And then, be thoughtful of their time, but also it's nice for them to go mingle and review the projects beforehand, whether it's inside of the app or inside of the app, or if they just do like a around the room and introduce themselves and just check out what they'll be evaluating. And also they can give some little key insights here and there. But then eventually, yeah, you want to prepare them with our new judging tool type. So send them the judging action item, and they can just log in straight from a tablet. So if they don't have one already, recommend that you have at least however many that there are judges. Yeah, so get them ready with the tool, and then it's time for the presentation and judging. So. As teams are presenting, judges are evaluating, and there's usually a quick back and forth, like I said. But this is actually the best time to get that valuable feedback. So, going back to the scribe role, they're capturing it, capturing that back and forth, and then that feedback's usually around congrats. Here's how to take it to the next level, and how this could or could not succeed. Maybe where's the fail points. And then afterwards, using the judging tool type manage page, you can make data-driven decisions to find the top projects based on those evaluations from the judges. And so, obviously, leadership will be looking at this, powwowing off to the side. But just note that not the top ideas aren't always the ones that will be moving forward, but definitely want to choose winners for the event because it helps close the loop. But obviously, you might want to tinker a little bit and drill down even further to see which ones you actually want to move forward with after you see these prototypes. And so closing the loop with the award ceremonies. Obviously, yesterday we saw there was form of monetary awards, but that doesn't always have to be the case. Sometimes people are just really excited to take their project that they work so hard on to the next level. And so sometimes that's the award. Maybe they can turn it into their 20% time, or their official 20% time, or take a couple weeks off of their normal day-to-day job and help realize that prototype into something further. All right.
Thank you, Chris. So the hackathon might be over and the winners might be celebrating, just as you guys last night, but it is not for the hackathon manager nor the innovation team. So shortly after the events day, the hackathon manager will update the site, display the winner, update the project statuses, and send a thank you communications to the participants, the judges, the supporting team, etc. And for instance, some examples of potential awards you give out, Team Lactose has a Judges Award, Team Kilobytes has a Crowd Award, and Team Mr. and Mrs. Robot has a Positive Vibe Award. I've personally participated in 6 hackathons, and I've never got a Judges Award, but I've always won the Positive Vibe Award. But most importantly, the hackathon manager will follow up with a sponsor to go over the list of all those projects worked on and select, he or she will select the projects that they want to further develop on. And so typically those projects meet the business unit goals or the business strategy. And this is also the moment where if a project is not selected by the sponsor, let's say it's too radical or that doesn't fit like something that's existing or a current strategy, the IPM can also offer to manage and track the developments of those projects inside the Incubate app. So the process involves initial research, rapid iteration, and running pilots. And actually, Kristen Jordan Fodder will be presenting the Incubate app right after us. She will be making an awesome presentation. I highly recommend you attend that one. If you can't, it will be recorded. But now, as we all know, a huge role of the innovation team is to communicate the success of all initiatives run, including Hackathon, to senior management. Some examples of key success criteria for a hackathon could be the number of departments represented during it, or the unique skills that were used to work on projects. Obviously, the number of hacked projects and the ones that were implemented, and following that, tracking the outcomes generated by them. You can also communicate those KPIs to your community of users, and typically that triggers a wave of requests from potential sponsors to run future hackathons. Now, before we wrap up our presentation, we just wanted to recap the value of running a hackathon for each key role. So for the participant, it's really how fun and engaging it is. It's working on hacking with a diverse team, people that you don't usually work with, on a fun project. It's an out of the day work, right? So it's not your day-to-day job. You give them autonomy, mastery, and purpose. For the innovation team, it's adding a new innovation activity to their tool belt, expanding the reach of the innovation program, and how marketable that event is. For the sponsor, it's the rapid time to value to get tangible outcomes. So you're getting a build-out prototype that you can then further work on. It could be again, like an example was the future roadmap. Maybe you get a prototype for something that you were supposed to work in Q4, and you already have that information available for you. And for senior management, lastly, it really sets an innovation reputation for the business, externally and internally. And because of it being fun engagement, there's also a component of talent retention. Because of all this, it helps people, like their work, like their environments, like the people they work with. So that usually helps there.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. So obviously, we kind of went through a lot there. The Hack app has a whole plethora of information in the knowledge base, but we'll be opening up the room for Q&A. And so, saw a question back here.
Yeah, does it have to be Does it have to be a prototype? Can it be like wireframe process flows? Can it be other stuff, not necessarily prototype?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, usually you've realized something out of this, something tangible. But it doesn't have to be a physical prototype of like. It doesn't have to even be like a new feature in a software. It could, like you said, it could be a process improvement or whatnot. You want to add to that, Alex?
No, I think yeah. So prototype meaning it's something that's that came out of the work with a team. So it's not necessarily something technical or whatever. It could be a business plan, for instance.
Yep.
Is there an overall optimal time frame that the hack takes place? I mean, is it best to do a quickly condensed time frame, 2 to 3 weeks, or just in preparation from start to end, or what does that timeline look like?
Sure. So usually it depends on if you are vetting the projects, if you already have the projects ready and you just need to form teams around them, or if you need teams to submit projects. So usually between 1 to 3 weeks, and then afterwards it's just a 1 to 2 day event.
And it also depends on how much resource and budget you have allocated. If you have this grandiose hackathon and you have like all this marketing communications, it's going to require more time than if you're running like a monthly one, right? That's inside a department. They know what they're doing, but it's not as much effort. So I think typically that would be the 1 to 3 weeks. If you have something bigger, it could take a bit longer.
So just several questions. Everyone's there in one physical room, right? But what about if you want to connect people, experts and bring them in, things like that? You see a lot of that where people are bringing in people from the outside that are not in the hackathon, where they're actually brainstorming in the room?
So you mean external participants or external judges? Both?
External participants.
Yes, I mean a lot of companies do that. I don't know if it's our use case for the Hack app, but
it's a little bit out of there. But I mean, obviously, you can bring in experts anytime you want to help move the ball. Usually, those experts though are judges that can realize the potential of something that can help you make those decisions.
Mm-hmm. What kind of communications going on? In addition to the ideation, are is this collaborative? Can I send a message to, my buddy to the left and right? Or what kind of conversations are going on online in addition to the ideation?
So before the event, there's obviously a back and forth between trying to find team members, or you can even just tap your buddy, like your work friend, on the shoulder and have them join your team or form a team together.
So what exactly do you mean by like it?
Just like, are you messaging people, or tell me just about how are there always teams when you're doing the hackathons, or how are people collaborating together?
Yes.
That's maybe
So-
either online or offline. That's
Yeah.
not traditional ideation.
So most of the communication will happen beforehand to form teams. You need a team. I guess you could hack alone, but it would be kind of sad. But it's trying to find people that have the same interests and a pool of skills to create a project. Afterwards, during the hacking, it's kind of outside our Bright Idea tool, for instance, because you're hacking on whatever tool you use to start working on the project, and that communication will happen face to face, basically.
A good example of like a diverse skill set is someone more of an engineer versus a designer working together and actually adding polish.
Now, that screen you showed, I don't know if you showed it yesterday.
Yeah.
The pictures of people and what they do. Is that a
Okay.
Yeah,
It's for the video.
there's no speakers in here, but
It's a fake.
screen that showed the different profiles of people and what they do, like process engineer or technical programmer?
Yeah.
What is that? Does that require? Does that tie into our Outlook system, or how does that information get populated?
for sure. So you can, all the users can add their expertise to their profile, just as you do on LinkedIn. And then on the actual idea, if you type in an expertise that has a match, that user will appear in there if they are not already on a team, and that match percentage will go up if they have more than one matching skill.
So these are participants that want to participate, and they're just putting their name and skill out there.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and part of that communication will be to make sure that they check their profile page and input all their expertise and skills.
If you do have that expertise data, I think obviously there's I think you can import that as well.
Hi, I actually have a couple of questions. So following to gentleman's question regarding setting up of individual profiles, is it possible to tie into Active Directory if we have, let's say, a large group of users, a large organization, to avoid sort of the barrier of me having to go and set up my profile, and then I
Yep.
don't have a picture, and
Yep.
then it doesn't look right, et cetera, et cetera. So
I believe it's possible on SSO.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if we can't answer that right now, we can talk out,
Okay,
outside.
sure.
Yeah.
But,
Thank you.
that is a good point, and the whole purpose is if you have that information outside, don't have your users repopulate
Right.
it.
And the whole idea is to reduce the barrier, especially for global organizations where
Yes.
teams are distributed, and to make it look more like we're part of the same community as opposed to we're just avatars or empty, egg faces, whatever.
Totally.
So
Totally.
my question to both of you, I know, Alex, you mentioned that you have participated in several hackathons. Have you organized hackathons and run hackathons on behalf of a business unit or an organization?
So I've helped run hackathons, but it was in smaller companies, so not really for a business unit. It was for all employees, and we had like a weird use case where we had an office in Paris and San Francisco, so we kind of had two hackathons that were done simultaneously but kind of independent. So yeah.
Go ahead.
Sure. So I've helped run a hackathon. It wasn't inside a business. It was actually for more of like a growth hack for growth hackers to create a quick app that time to value was super quick, and the awards were to whoever had the most users by the end of the week after you created that prototype. But we've run one inside Bright Idea, and it wasn't as successful because we didn't have these best practices. And so it was really funny looking back and seeing where we failed. In January, we will be running a full-blown one inside the company And obviously not everyone has to participate. We only want people that want to join us. But so
the reason why I'm asking that, because I want very specific feedback on how to best ensure a successful experience outside the best practices and sort of the process and the app, which are great, but they are just that. They're just best practices. And when it comes to people and trying to organize people and trying to rally the troops, if you will, or even interfacing with the business and trying to convince the business that this is an idea to try, that's where, in my opinion, it has fallen over previously for me. You can have the best app, you can have your process, your marketing, your communications all set and ready to go, and then you go to the business and they say, well, we're just not sure if we want to do this. And you say, well, why don't you want to do this? This is rapid prototyping, and you're getting, so much work done in such a condensed amount of time, and you're pretty much getting it for free because all these people are already, employed. And it just takes a little bit of encouragement and, look at the value from talent engagement standpoint, and they say, well, we're just not sure that we have time to organize it, and plus we're not even sure that we're really good at quote unquote innovation. Maybe we should just stop doing it altogether and sort of outsource it. So how do you solve that? I mean, the apps are great, but I'm looking for sort of experience on how to work with our business leaders and to sort of change the culture to allow innovation.
So,
To,
that almost takes a bigger scheme than just hackathon, right?
Yeah,
but if we go back to the hackathon use case, I think the strongest thing is again the engagement it's excitement from your participants. It's you're doing this to get prototypes, but in the end, if you don't have participants engaged and excited, you won't get anything out of it. And for either for talent retention or just for like a special event that people like remember and it's memorable, that the more excited they are, the better the products will be afterwards. And like for whenever I ran a hackathon, there were some where we just threw it out there and it was kind of like, okay, we have to go. We can't sleep for 24 hours. Like, we have to judge. It wasn't a great experience. But the ones where we got pumped, when we had like the swag, the sponsor, the sponsor push, you really like, you were happy to just give like, you basically worked 200% for 24 hours. Like for, not for free because you still get paid, or sometimes it's like you do it on a Saturday too, but it's still like that team bonding, that out of the normal day work experience is just, that's what pushes participants to do it. And from that excitement, usually like you have really creative stuff that come out or stuff that they've always wanted to work on and they finally have the time to do it. And yeah, I guess you always have people that are more negative or they don't see it's almost like just give it a go, see the results. And
absolutely, but then, this is again a participant standpoint, and I understand it completely.
Yep.
Thank you. Again, this is very much from a participant standpoint. In my case, it doesn't get to the participant. It falls over on the business side, where business says, what am I going to get at the end? So I get a prototype of something. So what? It has to be articulated very clearly, the business value. But even when it is articulated, and let's say even when we have, support from the top, leader of the business unit, but then it falls over in the middle from the standpoint of people who are actually involved in supporting the effort, and you need them on board to help you disseminate the information and to encourage people to sign up and reply and get them excited, because the apps by themselves will not, it's just a tool.
yeah, correct. Yep.
Right. So, and also, sorry, I'm hugging up the mic, but I have a very specific question around global communities, because our organization is very distributed, and let's say our marketing folks are in one place, our engineering team in many places around the world, and so our creatives are in many places around the world. So how do you run a hackathon and ensure these sort of diverse teams and pair people together when they're never in the same room together? And is there a way to organize it virtually? and how successful are those events when they're not in person and you don't get the excitement and the rockets and launching and the smoke machines?
True. It's a great question. I'd say that you would want to keep it within one location for the time being, and then once you got your chops going, then you take it to the next level. Obviously, it's tough to match to form a team, a diverse team, if they're in two different locations. So, as far as how we promote the Hack app, it sounds like it may not be a good fit within your organization. Then, if it was so broad.
Also, we form diverse teams, but it's rare that you get a member from each department inside a team because you're basically still working on something, and it could be very technological with an engineering or a middle ground like building a business case. But in some point, one department will not be as useful as the other. So maybe if it's just engineering, the marketing person will just sit there and watch people code. So you kind of also have to find a topic where that's more siloed to a certain set of departments versus like globally to the company. Does that make sense or not?
Yeah, so it's definitely a more strategic question rather than. So then it's definitely a more strategic question of how to properly organize a hackathon rather than simply follow a process, which, for my purposes, I was specifically looking for this app because I think it's a great opportunity for globally distributed companies to be able to have an online platform where people can feel connected and they can look for members of their team when they don't have a designer that's sitting next to them or in the same building or in the same city, and they can say, oh, okay, well, we have somebody in New York or we have somebody in Gurgaon or whatever. Can they help us virtually, and can we do this via Skype, or can we engage in some sort of a virtual world, and how would that work? So the world is becoming very flat very quickly, and if we don't find ways to effectively connect with each other, then we're just limiting ourselves to this room or this city. And I would like to sort of maybe address it to the groups or to some of you who may have run these events virtually on how to best organize it to make it successful while fulfilling, obviously, a business purpose.
I was just going to comment. We did several of these hackathons on our retail business, and we found out these are not virtual events at all. The whole concept is you sit and have pizza. So you need to sit. You need to sit there, do the work there with people. So what we did, we replicated the events all over the place in 4 different countries, 30 people in each, only local guys, but we were very careful that the subject matter of the hackathon was common problem for everybody, independently of where they were sitting, So that's how we did it. It worked out fine. We had 30 guys, and it was checkout on the retail. The worst moment in your customer experience when you have to go out and pay on a shop, on a retail store. So we said, how do we build a memorable experience, checking out of the store? And the apps that came out and things that came out all applied to the same objective, but they were created by groups sitting in different cities all over South America in this case. But definitely we are not going to do this stuff virtually because it's not part of the concept. I mean, if you want to do that, you have other tools. Like the Right Idea thing, you can actually is an online web storming kind of stuff without the app, the Hackathon app. The Hackathon app is a single event, non-virtual. We don't,
Correct.
Our experience was very successful.
Correct.
In fact, we already have 9 apps downloadable in the App Store or whatever, right in a few days. It was really fascinating to see how it worked. But we made sure we had different kinds of people working on the same problem in different kinds of in this case, particular countries with different culture. However, the checkout issue is the same all over the place. You got to get out and pay.
So did you you run these events simultaneously in different countries?
No,
Oh,
no.
just one at a
Yeah.
time.
1 week, it took us 4 or 5 weeks. We planned it all together, but then we traveled all over the place. The team traveled, and we did one event each week after week for 5 weeks. Yes. And at the end of that, we had a whole lot of apps, and prototype. Really, it was really working apps. Most of them. It was really, really fascinating, But we wouldn't do that virtual. The whole issue was this stuff, this Red Bull thing.
Camaraderie.
Got
Yeah.
people thinking, and real nice. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to using this, because we were doing our judges using Excel spreadsheets. This is really real good.
Yeah, so what you mentioned around vetting the projects kind of resonated with my company. We operate at I think 300 people in a hackathon currently.
Oh, wow.
Across multiple geographic locations simultaneously.
Okay.
And we're running a challenge where we're having basically the judging process, or the judging day occurs, basically takes up the entire day. And we're now having to limit the length of the presentations to around 3 or 4 minutes each, just to kind of fit everything in within that time frame. And it is exhausting.
Yep.
And so we never really even considered vetting the projects until, this is basically the first I even thought about it.
It's key. We've seen it firsthand. It was exhausting going 4 hours plus, just for all these projects. And I think if you really like we said, there was some. We'll send these slides out after for everyone who wants them. Yes, but as long as you understand what our version, what our definition of a hackathon is, between 30 to 120 people that can split into the 4 to 16 teams, it's much easier to manage, much easier to handle, and also you're still going to get some really great output as well.
I guess, how do you kind of manage the empowerment of the teams to kind of choose their own projects, and having some maybe leader vet those projects beforehand seems kind of.
I think it's not just denied. It's let's work with you on how we can make this, mold this more into that fits into the topic. Or if not, then do you have other ideas?
Okay, so the way we run them, it's pretty much open-ended. We don't really pick a certain topic.
Okay, so that's where you need to start tightening that up a little bit.
In our case, we had about 600 people, the universe, and we decided arbitrarily it was going to be 10 projects per country. Stop, So how do we get to 10? We devised that criteria you said there, and we had people evaluate that. We called it a pre-filter. We filtered out everything except the top 10 projects. Thank you very much, those guys. And these teams, they went through to the hackathon itself, but we vetted them out. That worked out fine. And we set the number, considering how much time we had to actually sit down and evaluate, and then do the judging day or afternoon day.
Yeah.
Just related kind of follow-up. So during the judging, I mentioned we had to limit the presentations about 3 to 4 minutes.
Right.
But what is the best practice there? And is there a lot of back and forth communication between it sounds like there's a lot of back and forth communication between the judges and the presenters.
That's a good one. To answer.
So to repeat the question, what's the optimal amount of time? Yeah, I think 5 minutes is definitely probably the max, and then a little buffer time between then to get the next group going.
But did you mention there's a scribe that's
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sort of implies that there's some back and forth.
Yep, absolutely. There, after the presentation, there's going to be probably a question and answer, a quick Q&A sesh between those judges and the teams.
I would say 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the number of teams and that we'll have to present. 5 to 10 minutes for the presentation, 5 minutes for the judges' feedback. Remember, they've already vetted it, and you have like some notes section where they can write down some improvements.
Yep.
So that information will be in Bright Idea, will be accessible by the team afterwards. But you still have additional feedback while you have that conversation, whether Q&A, those 5 minutes, and that either is recorded or scribed. But that's a necessary step to have the teams grow.
So Genevieve yesterday mentioned that all these new features that are in all of these kind of specialized apps can be used in any challenge. So for us, we run a kind of a pitch day like event called Summer of Cheese for our interns. Because we have 1,200 interns, we have them build teams. Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to use just the team building portion of this, where would I go to turn that on in a different style challenge?
It'll be in, I believe, the Ideas tab, located under Team Submission, the Team Submission section.
In the WebStorm administration.
I believe it's called Enable Find Teammates.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with that, people will be able to input expertise on their submission form that can do the matching with the user profile.
Guys, so I really love all the stuff that the Hackathon can provide and to help, kind of bolster innovation program. But I worry that our innovation team is only 6 months old at Oxy. So I worry that it may not be successful since our process isn't mature. Mm-hmm. Based on y'all's experience, have you seen that the more successful hackathons happen at more mature, in more mature innovation teams, or does that not really matter?
So I think that ties back to the maturity model again, with our recommendations, right? So when you first start off, you want to focus on engagement. You want your people to start like thinking about ways to innovate, and we have 3 apps for that phase, and whether it's improving, optimizing, or challenges or whatnot. And once you have that base of engagement, you can focus like higher visibility, higher resources events such as pitch or a Shark Tank or a hackathon. It's not to say that again, like you could try it out. It's just that it's riskier if you don't have like that engagement and that like the way of thinking of your participants. And it always ties back to again the excitement, the making sure they understand. It's yeah.
Makes sense.
And you could potentially survey your participants if they would be willing to, if they think that's a good idea, versus doing it top down. That could be a way to do it.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, less mature innovation teams like if it's been around for 6 months, I wouldn't say that the hackathon event itself, the success that is determined by the maturity of your team, but the other end of the spectrum, the back end of innovation, when you're actually implementing the prototypes you developed, that's where you really need to make sure you've got a rigorous innovation team, because that's the hard bit. It's the outputs at the end. So, yeah.
I just had a question that may not be pertinent to the hackathon, but all the apps that you released yesterday, those 9 additional apps or built-out apps, how does this affect the mobile experience? Because you have the Bright Idea app, and that is just the one kind of just shows all the challenges. But will that be updated as well to support these, or how does that work?
So at the moment, it'll still be just purely for submission, but we are pushing resources to improve mobile experience within this next year.
Yeah, good question.
Question.
Oh, it's on.
It's on. Most of the hackathons that are running at the moment don't actually use a platform, that I understand, because I've been to a couple. I've talked to a few others. They don't seem to be using a platform. So,
right. Well, we didn't have a judging tool. We didn't have team building features. So it wasn't as much of a companion as it will be now.
Yeah, I guess my question is, how important is it really to have a platform? I mean, I can see
good
the
to have your
efficiency.
innovations all in one place. And as an innovation program, you're able to keep them under one hood and track them all the way through.
It's for tracking and visibility. So the example, how you have judges, it's through Excel. Now you have it in a single platform.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, it's like the find teammates. You want people to submit projects so you're able to track them, not on Excel. Then you have the ability to allow them to find teammates. You can't do that on Excel. And then you like judges. So you just keep adding data points to your projects, and like you follow them through to implementation, and you have all this in one single data object.
I like your concept of having only the vetted proposals go through the hackathon. I think that saves a lot of time. Mm-hmm. Is that your recommendations to sort of have an initial sort of screening of the proposal?
Absolutely.
So obviously, let's say you invite 130 participants, maybe you have 130 projects submitted.
Yeah.
Teams will form, maybe you'll be in several teams. The matching will depend, whatever. But in the end, you want to down select to that number, specific number that corresponds to, like, let's say 16 projects to the judging day.
So on that multiple people, so 16 projects, say some of them have duplicate team members, what would you do then?
But that's where the hackathon manager moderates with the teams and tries to like lock down the ones that people want to officially work on, and then you decide whether or not it's this one is out of scope or it's a good fit for the topic. That's again, it's a conversation. Like you can't have an algorithm like do that for you. So it depends on the teams.
And to really quickly piggyback off of that. And to quickly piggyback off that, we have a lot of that same situation where the scope will not, obviously there'll be like 100 ideas that come in and we're working on 10 or 15 of them in a hackathon, but that doesn't mean that the other 85 or 90 are terrible ideas and wouldn't help the business in some way. So by using Bright Idea, we'll take those ideas and move them over to 20% time if they wanted to take it to 20% time and work on it there. We call it bullet time for us. Or if it's an idea that we really want the business to maybe see if they can prioritize, we'll bring it over to our regular submission challenge, which is the cheese factory for us, and bring it in front of the business to see if they can prioritize it. So you have, by putting it through Bright Idea, you can obviously do that vetting process, but then take things and have them have that second life beyond what you could do with a spreadsheet in those other challenges that you build out.
So I work for an insurance company, and we're a natural 9-to-5 environment. So I would say it's probably nearly impossible to get everyone or anyone who's interested to participate for 24 straight hours. Have you seen a hackathon be successful in 2 8-hour days, for example?
Absolutely. And we're not recommending you go 24 hours.
That's
because even here at Bright Idea, when we were running hackathons, people were like, "Oh, gotta get back to my wife," or or gotta the wife and kid, or I'm done being at work, So yes, totally.
But in that example, would you do 3 days of 8 hours, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you can convince the business leader that you need 3 days, then by all means, eat that up.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I think it's about time. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll be outside here, to extend on any of these, these questions, and hope you had a great time.
Thanks, guys.